Today we are going to do a contract search. And what this system does, it works with your financial system. So it can either pull information from another system. So for instance, if you work with something like a banner system, or you can manually put in contracts yourself. So let's go ahead and do a search. So you're going to start right here on your home screen, and we're going to come to contract search. Go ahead and click that button. And as always, I like to always start with a fresh search. So you want to click the X button, and it's going to clear out all the fields. As you can see, there is no data in any of the fields. Okay, so we are now going to go and start with the contract ID. Now we can find a contract by its numerical number. We can find it by a description, meaning if you placed a project description into the search, you can find it there. And we can also find it by a vendor's name. So we'll start with the number, and we're going to go with CT20. And this is the coding system for one of our vendors and one of our service providers here. So yours may be a little bit different depending on how your contracts are identified, but for this one, we're just going to use CT20. Once you hit that, go ahead and hit the search button, and you will see it will process for a second there, and it's going to bring up every contract from CT20. We're going to go ahead and do another way to look up a contract, and again, we're going to clear everything out, hit that X button, it'll bring us back, and we're going to go with the project description. And here I'm going to put in the full name of a project. So once I put that in, I'm going to hit the search button, and it's going to bring up projects that match that description. Now, if I want to get a little bit more specific, I'm going to come back in here, and I'm going to add in again the descriptor CT20. I'll hit the search button, and you'll see it'll bring me down to just 4. And that is a second way for you to go ahead and search for contracts. And if you want to get even more descriptive, you could add in additional information. So here I'll put this information in. I'll click the search button, and it's going to get me down to the one contract that matches the name, the contract ID number, as well as the vendor's name. So now we're going to go ahead and click into that contract. Now, as you can see here, what this does for you is it gives you just a general overview of the information that's going on in the project. And all the information that you want to put into your CMR system is located right here on this page, and that's from the goals to the funding type, transactions. If there are any subcontractors, those are located under the schedule of work, and payments, events, any documents that you want to upload to it, as well as any notes that you may have internally with your team. And we're going to go back up now and show you how to input that information. So to get the information for the name of a contract, right here on the contract line, you're going to go in, you would click this button right here, and right here in the product description is where you would highlight the name that you have for it. Now, this information should automatically pull up from your system, but if you are inputting this manually, the contract status, you hit the drop down button right here, and you can go ahead and put it into the status that best meets your criteria. Again, the same goes with the contract category. If it is something other than what is automatically populated by your system, then you would go ahead and change it to what you want. For our project, we're going to leave it in construction. Now, if it is a compliance project, depending on what services you may have through the CityBOTS system, you can check those out here. So that way it is another piece of data that segments it. Once you've made all that information, you hit the save button, and you are good to go, and you will see that information up here in your top key. Next, we go to the contract go, and as you can see, this number right here is another manual input. It does not automatically populate. And to add a go, you hit the add button. And from here, you would enter in whichever section you want. So we'll clear out every section by hitting this one, and we'll just add in a 5% SBE go, hit set, and that's going to come up right here. Now, in the event that you add a go that you do not need, you would select the go that you're looking at and then hit the minus button, and that will populate this again for you. You go ahead, hit 0, set go, and it will remove it for you. And that is your contract go. And the next part right here, the funds and the funding source itself is actually the information that is pulled from your financial system of wherever your funding source for the contract is coming for. And this is manually inputted by individuals and it's pulled over through the system. Okay. The next section we have are transactions, which this shows you just how many transactions have been made from you to the actual subcontractor and on those days, or the prime contractor, and when those payments were made to those prime contractors. The next section you have, it's called the schedule of work, and this is the section that you input information regarding your subcontractors. And to input this information, you hit the plus button here. With this plus button, you go into and then you find the vendor that you're looking for, and we'll just go ahead and utilize the vendor that we saw on them on the sheet itself. So CPM is the vendor, and it's going to give you a drop down of all vendors with that name. You find the vendor that best meets the criteria that you're looking for, and then go ahead and hit the select button. Once you hit the select button, you next need to identify the vendor's work type. And to find the work type, you have two options. You can find or you can select. So if you hit the find, this is where you would actually put a code in for a work type. For example, if I'm looking for something, I can put this code in if I know the code that I'm looking for, and then the system is going to generate all the codes that come up that way. If I'm unsure of the code and I'm looking for what is listed on my documents for the work type, I'm going to go ahead and put in a descriptor, and I'll go find the codes that come up with that, and I'll select whichever code that is. I'm going to exit out of this because that's not what I'm looking for, and I want to show you the other way. Now, each vendor, which you can view in another video of how to add codes and work and scopes of work to actual accounts, but if you hit select vendor work type, this is actually going to show everything that's listed on that vendor's individual account, and you can just pick one of the sections that are listed as their work or scope of work codes, and you hit that select button right there. Next, you're going to have to add the amount of the contract for the subcontractor. So we'll just put in a number here of about 10,000, and that's going to open up the go window. If the vendor is a material supplier, you want to hit this material supplier button, and it's going to do an automatic calculation of the percentage for you. So here we're going to do a percentage of 60%. Oh, sorry, computer's going. So with that here, you would put in that information, and it's gonna calculate for you as well. And as you can see, there's our markup here of 60%. So you put in that decimal point 60, and the markup is going to show you the amount of the, I believe we put in 1,000, not 10,000. But if I change that to 10,000, the markup again will still do the calculations for me depending on what your program's percentage is to give to markups. And then at the bottom here, what this section is going to do, it is going to give you the information and showing you what the contract go, which this contract has a MBE go, and the vendor is also certified, so it will put that money or that total amount into that section. So next you would hit the save and add new button, and then that's going to go out into the contract. Hit the cancel button to exit out, and you can see that your new amount was successfully added right here under the schedule of work. Now, again, if you need to remove something because maybe you've added something in incorrectly or you just need to make an adjustment, you hit the minus button here, go down to delete, and that will be completely removed and you will no longer see it on your actual list. The next section is your payment summaries. So anytime your prime contractor makes payments to the subcontractors, it will appear in this section. And just to give you a better visual, I'm actually going to go out of this contract and into a contract where I know that the vendor has made payments, so you can see that section just a little bit better. And we're going to do a search by vendor. And here we go. And let's go ahead, as I told you earlier, let's go ahead and limit our search to a contract year. And we're going to find one that has some actual payments on it. So here we go. In this section here, we're down in payment summaries. And if you hit the refresh button right after you hit that drop down, it should come up for you. Actually, sorry, this one doesn't because there's been no payments made to either the prime or the sub. So let's go back out and let's find a actual contract that has something that we can see a little bit better on there. Okay, so I found us a contract. So here we go now, and we're into the payment summaries. And as you can see right here, all the payments made by the prime contractor to the subcontractors are listed here, and you can see it goes from to. And this amount here will also show up here to show you what the amount of committed payments that have been actually made are versus the amount of the commitment to the subcontractor. And that's just what you're seeing in that display up there. Your next section is going to be information submitted by the vendor. So if you have a program where there is something that is not in your system or it's a little special to you, this is where that vendor will upload that information so you have it all in one succinct place. And we're going to discuss this, and I highly encourage you to check out our contract payments group video, because this section here is pretty much the receipt of the prime contractor submitting their information into the system to show that they received the notification and they have done all the things that they're supposed to do to report their payments to their subcontractors. And that's pretty much everything on here that really needs to be pointed out. The event section just pretty much shows you the communication or anytime any adjustments were made to the account. The document section is, again, a section where not only you can upload something if there is information specific to a contract and you want to keep all that information in one location. This is the area where you would upload that. You would upload it by hitting the plus button here. You would go ahead and identify the name of the file that you would want to put in. So if it's a log of some sort, and then you would hit the choose file button and grab something completely off of your computer, and you will be able to upload it back into the site here. And then the notes section, this is your CRM section where you want to put any communication or any notes that you have on the file into the log itself or on the contract. That way, again, the whole goal here is to keep all information related to the contract in one location. So that is everything that you needed to know on searching for a contract, as well as the information that's located on the contract. We encourage you to check back for any more tips and tricks on how to utilize the CityBOTS system, and we look forward to providing you guys with more information. Thanks for tuning in today.